I was asked to do a quick video on this, I think it's FITH Ops. Yeah, FITH Ops 209 CCI primer trip alarm. The individual I got these from, he said he already lost one of the pins inside. Let's open this up and see what all's there. I guess this is all the components that are supposed to be here. With the exception of the primer, I'm sure. I don't see the primer. So anyway, you got a slip ring, I guess, anchoring point, and two pins. I would assume that this is the operational pin, and this would be like a safety, because it's equipped with a safety hole here and a firing hole that's further down on the shaft. We're going to go ahead and put this in here. Okay, I asked him if it would be possible for me to. He wanted me to. What he wanted me to do is do the arming process so that he'd be safe about doing it, because he said he was messing with it and he put a primer in it and he actually discharged it when he didn't want it to discharge. So I asked him if I could modify them, and he said yeah, that I could modify them as long as it doesn't degrade them. And my modification's not going to degrade them. It's going to make them more user-friendly, because these, when I was growing up, I was told that these are called Oh Jesus pins. And I asked why they were called Oh Jesus pins, and he says, well, when one pops loose and goes somewhere, you say, oh Jesus, where did it go? Okay, so enough of that, I guess. So what I did is I cut some stainless steel cable. I normally use these for making snares. I cut some cable. I cut them 10.5 inches long for this here, and I've got some stainless ferrules here that I'm going to take and just put them on here, like so. Pull them down. It's going to be kind of tough to do because this cable, it's hard to put a memory in it. You can put a memory in it by bending it, but it's pretty hard to get it to do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this down as tight as I can get it, keeping both of these fairly equal. And I'm going to pull this down as tight as I can get it. Then I'm going to take these and I'm going to use these as a crimper. And it's not going to cooperate very well. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a crimp to get it to cooperate a little more. All we want to do is put this on here so that it won't come back off. I mean, I'm sure in time that you might be able to get it to come off, but we want to try to get it as tight as we can get it. So it'd be pretty hard to get that off right there. So I'm going to call that good. And I'm going to go ahead and put the pressure I need on this to make it into a solid unit. So crimp that down. These cutters, they won't cut through this stainless steel ferrule. And because they won't cut through this ferrule, I can squeeze it pretty hard here, and I won't have any damages. Okay, so that's as tight as it needs to be. Okay, so on the next one, what I'm gonna do is take the ferrule, and let's do the safety. Put it on here. Just slip it all the way on, like so. Pull this up. We're gonna insert the safety. Just pull it up. Insert the safety, however you want to insert the safety, so that it's in place. Okay, so now we've got this way. So we can take a cable, this piece of this cable, and just take it and insert it into here. Now, we don't want to take it too far. We don't want it sticking all the way out. So I'm going to push it against the body, and I'm going to push that cable up. And I'm going to try to hold that in position while I crimp that into position. Okay, I want to see if I can adjust that. Okay, it adjusted a little bit. Okay, so now that we've got that there, I'm gonna go ahead and crimp it all the way down the best I can. There we go. We got a good crimp on there. And that's not gonna come off. And see, it'll actually give you additional assistance. Additional assistance in actually removing that safety. Keep you from actually triggering this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this all the way up into the fire position. I'm going to insert this. Doesn't matter how you do these. Let's go ahead because it's gonna want to relax this way. Let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and undo that. Put this in here. Go ahead and raise it back up. Insert this in there, like so. So that way they're both fairly uniform. Okay, let's insert this into here. We don't want to go all the way. We want to make sure we pull it up so that it doesn't become something that'll actually create a puncture. We don't want to puncture ourselves when we're dealing with this. Anyway, so what I'm doing is trying to make this device so that it's more user-friendly for you, because of the fact that these pieces out in the field, you drop them in the grass, you may not find them. So I'm going ahead and crimp these down. And I'm sure the factory would probably do that for you if it didn't cost so much time in labor to try to get this done. So as you can see, this is not going to affect the device in its use, but what it'll do is it'll actually make it more user-friendly. So whenever you arm this and you put it into position, you can have it mounted like so on your tree, however you're going to mount it, a tree, a stairwell, a fence post, whatever it might be. It's not going to interfere with, if you use the tie wraps, you decide to use tie wraps, this is not going to interfere with those tie wraps. So what this does for you at this point is you have control on your components. And my guess is most people might hit this with some OD paint or some sand color paint, or maybe even a primer gray, so that it'll kind of blend into its environment a little better. Okay, so this allows you to pull your safety out, and your safety stays with the system. It allows you to attach your tripwire. Trying to find a piece of twine here. Okay, it allows you to attach, this is not a tripwire, but nonetheless, it allows you to attach your tripwire here. Okay, like so. After you've armed it, it allows you to put that there. But I'll go through an arming procedure here in a minute. But this makes it a little more user-friendly, so that if you need to disarm it, you can come back. It's right here. You don't have to babysit these pins. The pins are already taken care of. They're not going to be lost. Okay, so it's just a simple stainless steel cable with a stainless ferrule. So in other words, it's environmentally sound at this point. And both of these will pull out, and without any problem at all. The safety is a little more difficult, but you can use the cable to assist you in taking the safety out, so that you're not jerking or pulling and then creating a problem for your striker pin. Okay, one of the things that you may note here, this clip has the double position there. Here, the manufacturer, I guess they're recommending that you clip this off. I would say no. don't do that, because that sets you up for failure, because that pin's not going to have any resistance when it's inside the body on here. The only time it's going to have resistance is when this drops down to the safety stop position and it's pressed against this. Okay, so right there I'm hitting it, and as I pull this up, I can insert this. The further up I get it, I can insert this. It's not the easiest thing to do, because the holes don't like to line up real well when you're pushing that spring-loaded clip in there. Also, too, whenever you're installing this in your firing position, the firing hole, raise it up, insert it in the firing hole. Okay, you don't have a lot of resistance there. Okay, you notice there's no pressure. Okay, so that should tell you that only the amount of spring pressure here that's putting pressure down on this is actually what's actually holding it in place until it pulls all the way to here. Okay, so whenever you're setting up your tripwire on this, one of the things you're going to want to do, if you're using Kevlar, or even if you're using wire, either one, if you're using the Kevlar string, just put you an overhand knot in here like so, and pull it down tight, right where you need it, because you need to secure the other end first. The other end of the tripwire needs to be secured. Once you've determined the position that this needs to be in to give you the proper amount of tension that you want, put that overhand in there, and it's going to give you an overhand on a bite, or you just might call it an overhand loop, if you will. Then you can take and you can insert it here as you're holding this in position and pull it back this way. And at this point, once you're satisfied that everything is the way that you want it, and now you've armed it, you've inserted the primer, and now you've got everything in place, now you're going to insert your primer. You can grab the cable and this, and all at once you can pull this out slowly, okay? But I recommend that you put your thumb here and pull this out slowly and let the safety rest. This allows the firing or striker release pin, when you pull it, it's going to allow it to come out. Okay, I'm not going to dry fire this thing. Once this comes out and it goes to the end, and the tripwire is still moving, this will actually pull off. So you have it on here. As it swings out, this will pull off this way, and it'll release your tripwire, and it'll maintain your clip, your pin. Okay, we're going to go through the arming procedure here. Go ahead and mount your anchor on wherever you're going to actually put your firing device. Take the safety, pull the striker back so the safety will insert. Insert the safety. Once you have the safety in place, go ahead and pull the striker out further and install the other pin, the firing pin for the striker. At this point, you're able to actually install your primer. You can install the primer into here. Put this back in place. If you keep your hands on the bottom, there's no hole here. So if for some freak reason it does fire, you're not going to encounter a blast. Okay, so we'll insert it this way. Put this on here. Once you get it all the way seated, you can take the body and you can twist the body just a little bit, and it'll help you make sure that it's real tight. So now we're solidly mounted to the system. Safety's in place, and the firing pin striker is in place. So you've run your other tripwire, you've ran your tripwire out, and now you're going to bring it to your firing device. Holding the striker pin, slide this on here, okay? If you're using Kevlar, there's about a 2% stretch. So it's kind of like using wire. You don't have to really worry if you're using Kevlar twine for your tripwire. This is Kevlar, but it's natural Kevlar, so it's kind of a yellow color. Now that you have your tripwire in place, you have your primer in place, now what you want to do is you want to gently remove your safety pin so that when this is pulled, it'll actually fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put pressure here, hold this in place. I'm going to remove my safety and lower it down. I'm going to slowly release my hand here, and now my tripwire is set and it's ready to fire. So as I say, this doesn't belong to me. I'm not going to dry fire it. So I'm just going to simulate it being triggered. So I'm going to actually hold on to this right here. I'm going to remove this so that you can see that when this comes loose, this allows the tripwire to come straight off of the firing pin. I hope this helped, guys. I hope it's a good procedure for you to follow. Thanks a lot.